Hi everybody, welcome back to your science lesson. I'm Mrs. Davis. Lovely to see you again today. We're going to carry on with our learning about plants today, and we're actually looking at different plants and their habitats and where they grow and why. We looked at habitats last week with our animals, and we're going to be doing the same thing with plants today. Okay, so as always, let's start with looking at what we need. Again, it's the same as normal. So if you need to pause the video to go and get your pen or pencil, paper and exercise book, then please do. Okay, fantastic. So let's have a little go at this. So again, let's a little challenge to get our brain switched on and raring to go. So can you guess what the word is before all the letters are revealed? So I want you to have a guess. So first letter is a T. Interesting. What's that? Should we look at the next one? A H. Oh, what might it be? A H and a T. Next, we've got a B. Any ideas? And we've got another T. And an A. Another A. Do you reckon you know it? I reckon you do. And an I. Yeah, well done. It's the word habitat, isn't it? Do you remember what we mean by a habitat? What is a habitat? Do you know? So, do you know what the word habitat means? Yeah, I reckon you remember. So a habitat is a place where a living thing lives. Yeah? So habitat must have the food, water and space that living thing needs. Do you remember we did it when we were looking at animals last week? It's got to be the right habitat, hasn't it? It needs to have the food that animal eats, or the food that living thing eats. It needs to have the water that it requires, whether it needs lots of it or maybe it can go without as long, and it needs to have the space. If it's a very, very big animal, it can't be in a tiny habitat, can it? Or the other way round. Okay, so well done. And that is really linking on to thinking about a habitat is the home of an animal or a plant. Okay, so remember, it's any living thing. Almost every place on Earth, from the hottest deserts to the coldest ice pack, is a habitat for some kind of animals and plants. Most habitats include a community of animals and plants, along with water, oxygen, soil, or sand and rocks. Okay. So plant habitats. Let's have a look at plant habitats today. So we're going to start off with looking at the deserts. Okay, so do you remember much about the desert before? Very, very sandy, isn't it? What plants maybe grow in the desert? Do you know any? Yeah, okay, so a desert is a hot, dry place where not many plants can grow. Okay, cactus can survive in the desert because they have a lot of shallow roots, and shallow means quite close to the surface, which collect any small amount of water in the ground. Their stems can store this water for a long time. So like we looked at like with camels, and they can store water. Yeah, it's the same with a cacti or cactuses. They can store the water for a long time. The spikes on a cacti are actually leaves, and they protect the plant from being eaten by animals, because it's not going to be very tasty eating a spike, is it? The spikes also stop air flowing near the cactus, which keeps water in. So the air doesn't then draw that water out. Right, so let's have a look next at the seaside, or we can call it coastal. Plants that live at the seaside need to be able to survive in strong winds, bright sunshine, salty air, and shallow sandy soil. Have you been to the seaside? Did you see any plants there when you did? What did you maybe see? We need to try and imagine. Okay, so we've got some beach grass here. You might have seen it where it's very long. You've got some sea kale and a horned poppy. Right, the savannah. The savannah is a large area of grassland in Africa. Animals such as lions, wildebeest, zebras, and giraffe live in the savannah. However, during other parts of the year, there are heavy rains. Trees have thick trunks to store some of this water to use during the dry seasons. So do you remember last week I looked at the giraffe actually that we looked at the savannah, and they store water as well. They're able to take a lot of water on, drink a lot, and then they can go for a long time without having to have a drink because they've taken so much water. It's a little bit like that with some trees. This is an umbrella acai tree growing on the savannah. We've got a woodland. Have you ever been in a forest? What could you hear, smell, and see? Do you remember? Again, you might want to close your eyes and have a think and imagine. You might find some of these plants in a woodland. We've got an oak trees, we've got ferns, and we've got bluebells. And we got under the sea, so this is called aquatic, also known as aquatic. Plants need at least some sunlight to grow. So in the deepest parts of the sea, plants don't grow. They can't grow because they need that sunlight. However, in more shallower water, plants can grow. Some plants float on the surface of the water to get sunlight. Can you think of any? So you've got kelp is one of the fastest growing plants in the world. It grows lots and lots. Seagrass needs lots of sunlight, so only grows in shallow water. We've got coralline algae grows on the coral in the warm seas. It's very pretty and bright. Right, so shall we see whether we can match up these types of plants with their habitats? Right. Oh, I'm just trying to remember. What's this one again? I think this is the sea kelp? Should we have a look? Where do we reckon it might go? Into the aquatic. Well done. Yeah, it grows in the shallower parts of the sea. Remind me again why it grows in the shallower parts, though, of the water. Why doesn't it grow in the very deep depth of the water? That's right, because it needs some sunlight, doesn't it? And obviously the sunlight, you can get to that shallower parts of the water. Oh, what about this? Oh, it looks looks a little bit to me quite dry, but it doesn't look completely, it's got that green, so there must be some kind of water and things around. So I reckon maybe the savannah. Should we go for that? Yes, well done. Okay. Oh, we've got a fern here, a fern leaf. I know that. Oh, what was that one? What was that one? Can you remind me again? Yeah, it was the woodland. Well done. Oh, over here, right, we've got the cacti. A group of cacti, one cactus, a group of cacti. What have we got? Where does that go? Well, what have we got left? We've got the desert and we've got coastal. Well, it's definitely, I don't think it's coastal, so I reckon it's got to be the deserts. Well done. Remember those spikes? Those spikes stop the air from taking the water. They have very shallow roots as well, cacti, to make sure they can get up any water. So that must mean this seagrass goes with our coastal. How did you get on with that? Did you do well? I bet you did. Right, so it's your turn, guys. I've got a little bit of information on a couple of different plants from different locations and habitats. So to start off with, we've got kelp. Kelp grows in shallow, clear waters because it needs a lot of sunlight. It doesn't have roots, but grows on rocks or big pebbles. It grows in water that isn't too hot or too cold. I think kelp would grow well in, and then it is up to you to decide where you think kelp is going to grow well in. What type of environment, what type of habitat do you think kelp would grow well in? And then the same for fern. Fern grows best under the shade of a very tall plant. They grow well in moist areas. This means where there is lots of water nearby. And then we've got a cacti. Cacti have lots of roots to collect water. Their strong stems can store water for a long time if there isn't any rain. They are covered in prickles, which are actually leaves. The prickles protect the plant from being eaten by animals that are looking for water. And then sea kale. Sea kale grows well even in windy conditions and very bright sunshine. It doesn't need much soil to grow in and grows well in salty air. So what you need to do for me now is have a go writing those out for me and saying where you think they would grow well in. What habitat? So remember, we can go back here. So we've got our aquatic, our desert, woodland, savanna, coastal. Okay, where do you think these would grow well in? I want you to have a good read of them again, pause the video and have a go at writing down your answers of where you think these plants would grow well in. Pause the video now. Welcome back. Okay, fantastic job, guys. Really pleased with you. Should we have a look at the answers? I reckon you've had a good read and figured these out. So let's have a look. So the first one, sea kelp. You should hopefully have got, I think kelp would grow well in either the sea or the aquatic. You could use that very posh word, the aquatic, but yeah, the sea is absolutely fine. Okay, it doesn't have those roots, does it? And it grows in the sea, in clear waters. So what about ferns? Best in the shade of a tall tree in moist areas, so lots of water. Where did we think for ferns? Did we get woodlands? Hopefully we did. If not, like I say, it doesn't matter. Remember, you can always just put a little neat line through it and write the correct answer. Oh, what about a cacti? I reckon you'll remember this. Where do you think a cacti would grow best in? I think they would grow well in. Not many plants grow well here, so it's got to be the desert, hasn't it? They are very, very well designed for the desert. And finally, sea kale. Where it's sea kale, it grows well in even windy conditions and very bright sunshine. Doesn't need much soil. Oh, and salty air. Oh, well, that's got to be coastal. Yeah, well done. Coastal or the beach, if you've written, is also fine. Okay, so remember, guys, a habitat is a home of living thing. Okay, and that's plants, animals, humans, any living thing. Plants are suited to their habitats because the habitats have everything that that particular plant needs to grow well. Plants wouldn't grow well in different habitats. Don't think you would find a lot of cacti in the sea. And I don't think you would find a lot of ferns or sea kale in the desert. Okay, they wouldn't grow very well there at all. Brilliant, well done. Fantastic job today, guys. Really pleased that you have joined us again, and I know that you have done a super job. If you want to, please feel free to maybe learn a little bit more about, you could do some research about those different types of plants and how they really grow in those different environments. You could look up some very unusual ones and maybe do a little fact file or something that you would want to share a little bit of information. Brilliant job. Well done. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.